Ever thought about working abroad?
Yeah.
It might be somewhere with incredible landscapes and super friendly people. We're diving deep today into New Zealand's new visa rules.
Hmm.
And I know you've been thinking about working abroad, so this might be perfect for you. We're breaking down an article from NDTV that has all the details.
Yeah, it's really interesting. New Zealand is trying to get more skilled workers from all over the world because they've got some pretty serious labor shortages, especially from India.
Oh, wow. So one of the biggest changes is that they lowered the work experience requirement from 3 years to two. That's a
Yeah,
pretty good change.
it is. It opens things up for people who may not have had enough experience before.
Yeah, I can see that, especially for people with skills in high demand areas
Mm.
like IT or healthcare.
Absolutely. Even with just 2 years of experience, you could have a real shot at getting a job in New Zealand.
Wow. Okay, so what about people looking for short-term work?
Well, for seasonal workers, New Zealand has some new visa options. They have a 3-year multi-entry visa for experienced workers
Mhm.
and a 7-month single-entry visa for those with less experience.
So it sounds like there's a pathway for everyone.
Yeah, it's like they're making visas to fit what industries need.
That's really smart.
Hmm.
And I know people are curious about the financial stuff.
Yeah, so for families, the financial requirements haven't changed since 2019. To sponsor your kids on an accredited employer work visa, you need to make at least NZ $55,844 each year,
Okay.
which makes sure families can afford to live in New Zealand.
So it sounds like New Zealand's trying to make it easier for families to move there. What other changes are they making to get skilled workers?
Well, they've actually made it easier for employers to hire, too, especially in areas where they need workers most.
Right.
For example, they relaxed the rules around the median wage.
Yeah.
Employers still need to pay a competitive salary, but it gives them more flexibility.
So they're making sure workers are protected, but also allowing businesses to get the people they need. What about people who are already in New Zealand on different visas?
That's where the visa extensions come in. If you're already in New Zealand and working in a job where there's a high demand, you might be able to extend your visa. And starting in April 2025, there's even an option for interim work rights when switching from a student or another work visa to the accredited employer work visa.
Wow.
This basically helps people who are moving between different visa categories.
Sounds like they thought of everything.
Yeah.
These extensions could be a huge relief for those who are already there trying to build a life in New Zealand.
Absolutely. New Zealand really wants to keep talented people and make the process as smooth as possible. And there's more.
Oh, really?
They've made the accreditation process easier for employers, but before they had to do mandatory online training modules. But now, Immigration New Zealand is giving them easy to access resources instead.
So less red tape and more efficiency.
Exactly.
Wow, I'm impressed.
It's all about being more welcoming. They want people to feel like they can navigate the system easily and just focus on using their skills and talents in New Zealand.
Speaking of skills, let's talk about the changes to the post-study work visa. I know you're interested in this one.
Oh, yeah. This is a big deal for students. It used to be that graduates could only stay and work for a little bit after they finished studying. Now they can stay for up to 3 years, depending on what they studied.
3 years. That's a long time.
It is. It gives them a real chance to get work experience and maybe even find a way to stay in New Zealand permanently.
That's amazing.
And they've also closed a loophole that was unfair to students who got a master's degree after a postgraduate diploma.
Okay.
Now they can still use the post-study work visa, which encourages them to keep studying in New Zealand.
That makes sense. It rewards students who invest in their education and shows New Zealand wants them there.
Exactly.
So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah,
The students get valuable work experience, and New Zealand gets to keep talented people.
that's right. Yeah, it really is a win-win for everyone, the students and New Zealand.
This all sounds amazing. But I'm wondering, are there any downsides to these changes? I mean, making it easier for people to work in New Zealand, could there be some unexpected consequences?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Anytime a country changes its immigration policies like this, there's always a chance of some things happening that they didn't expect. One concern might be what happens to wages in certain sectors.
Oh, okay, so you mean like if there were a lot of skilled workers coming in, could that drive down wages?
Yeah, it's possible.
Hmm.
But New Zealand knows about this, and it seems like they're doing things to try and stop it happening. They've said that employers still have to offer competitive salaries, even with the relaxed median pay rules.
Okay, That's good. What about New Zealand's culture? I mean, could a lot of immigrants coming in change things?
That's a good point, too. New Zealand has a strong national identity and a really cool culture.
Hmm.
But remember, they've always had immigrants, and they've been pretty good at helping them fit in while still keeping their own traditions.
So it's about finding a balance between welcoming new people and keeping what makes New Zealand special.
Exactly. It's about creating a place where everyone respects each other and understands each other's cultures.
And immigrants often bring new ideas and perspectives, too.
Right, absolutely. It's about creating a richer cultural experience for everyone.
It seems like New Zealand is really thinking this through. They're not just letting anyone and everyone in.
Yeah.
They're carefully managing things.
Yeah, they're being smart and thinking ahead.
Hmm.
It's really good to see they're trying to fix the labor shortages, but also thinking about what could happen to society and the economy.
It paints a really positive picture of New Zealand. It seems like they're making the country a great place for skilled workers from everywhere.
Totally. They're basically saying, we like your skills, we need your talent, and we're making it easy for you to come here and help us.
Do you think other countries might try to do the same thing as New Zealand and change their immigration rules?
I think it's very possible. A lot of countries have problems with their populations getting older and not having enough skilled workers. They all want to find ways to attract and keep talented people. It's a global competition.
So New Zealand is kind of leading the way. They're showing other countries that it's possible to be welcoming to skilled workers and also take care of their own needs at the same time.
Exactly. They're setting an example.
Ah.
It'll be interesting to see which countries decide to do the same thing and try to get the best and brightest people from around the world.
This has been really helpful. I understand New Zealand's new visa rules a lot better now, and I understand why they're doing it.
I hope it helps you as you think about working abroad.
It definitely does. New Zealand is on my list now.
Yeah.
For our listeners who want to know more, we have links to the NDTV article and some other resources in the show notes. Yeah, it's really interesting to see how these changes are like part of a bigger global trend. It's like a competition for talent is heating up.
Yeah, you got it. Countries that make it easiest for skilled workers to come are going to have a big advantage.
New Zealand seems to get that. They're really going for it. What do you think is the most significant change they made?
I think it's got to be the combo of lowering the work experience requirement and making the accreditation process easier for employers. It's like a 1-2 punch that makes New Zealand really attractive, especially for people who may not have a ton of experience but have the skills that are in demand right now.
Right. It's like they're saying, hey, come on in. We're open for business. They're making it easier to just take the leap and start fresh in New Zealand.
And don't forget about the changes to that post-study work visa. Giving graduates more time to work and maybe even make New Zealand their home is a huge plus.
Yeah, it's a smart move. It's like they're saying, come study here, and you might just end up loving it so much you'll want to stay.
It's a long game, and I think it'll really pay off for them.
So with all these changes, making it easier to work in New Zealand, do you think other countries are going to feel like they have to do the same thing?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like we talked about, the competition for talent is global. Countries that hold on to those old, complicated immigration rules are going to get left behind.
So maybe New Zealand is setting a new standard, a more open and welcoming way to handle immigration that other countries might follow.
It could be. And it'll be interesting to see how other countries react. Will they step up and compete or just stick with the way they've always done things? We'll have to wait and see.
This deep dive has been so insightful. I really understand these new visa rules now, and I get why New Zealand is doing it.
Awesome. I'm glad we could help you understand it all better, especially as you're thinking about your own future and maybe working abroad.
It's given me a lot to think about. For our listeners who want to learn more, we've got links to that NDTV article and other resources in our show notes.
And we want to hear from you too. What really stood out to you? What questions do you have? Come chat with us on social media.
It's amazing to see how New Zealand is shaking things up. Now the question is, who's going to be next? What other countries are going to jump in and compete for the best and brightest minds out there? It's definitely something to think about as you plan your own future. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.